right, goal! Everything you wanted from this debut. It's branded by. Taking a shot with the left, goal! Isaac Frank from 25 yards out. The equalizer. Will Kidd with the touch of the goal. It's a go-ahead goal. Minneapolis City.
This is the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by Summit Brewing Company.
What is up, Twitches? You are watching the People Pitch Stream, the official podcast and streaming channel of your Minneapolis City SC. I, as always, am Nate Morales. That is John Bisworm joining me. This is the Big Baby E. Tuning in tonight is a particularly brilliant move for you. So give yourselves a hand while you go ahead and while you're at it, smash that follow and subscribe button. That is right.
Hello, folks. This show, as I mentioned in the chat, is brought to you also by John's going to try to drink 3 Cabin Crushers tonight. You can see they're all open or they're all closed. So we're going to get right at it, folks. Most of you know our cousins across the river just completed their run in the MLS is Back Bubble Soccer Tournament last week. It was a roller coaster ride of emotions we feel from the jump as we saw 2 full teams get the go home. You have COVID naughty, get put on the go home, you got COVID naughty list. But it also turned quickly into a virus-free sports environment, which that gives us, it gave us some decent soccer. So we wanted to give it its due and talk about it. So Nate, what was your perception of the event? And, how do you think it went for the league?
Yeah, you know what, John? So far, so good. I think a lot of the fan engagement stuff was kind of a flop for the networks. I think people might have gotten excited to hope to see themselves on like the Jumbotron in the middle of the game, but like they rarely showed that camera angle. So, oh well. But for the most part, the product on the field was very MLS-y, which is, you get what you get. So there's upsets, there's flubs, there's heroes, there's villains. This tournament had it all.
Sorry, I got
cool with it.
I got to not chug before I'm supposed to talk.
Yeah,
I'll work on that. So as far as the loons go, we're not a loon show, but we do tend to talk about the cousins across town. They bowed out after what we talked about a few weeks ago, a very, in quotes, just enough will do performance throughout the tournament outside of that San Jose quarterfinal. Mm-hmm. But I think that they were on the brink before getting smoked by Orlando and by a 3-1 scoreline. And my take on the whole thing is that the Loons look to maybe finally be building or built a team, Nate, that goes beyond the top 13 players. Because we can't joke ourselves that in the past we saw this team, like as soon as one player went off, like the level of play just went into like amateur town.
Yeah, I would say the team wasn't built beyond the first 7 players in the past, so this is an improvement,
right? And it went into total garbage. Remember when they only had 11 signed players in the first year?
It was like a month to go.
No, like actually in season, and then they signed Sam Nicholson, and he had to play a full 90 like right off the plane, and he threw up at half. Time it was 95-degree heat on that turf at TCF. Awesome. What a mess. But now, regardless of some questionable lineups, in my opinion, and some interesting substitution timing, there's finally that depth that can run out in the second half, can maybe get you that goal, inject some life into things as needed, and then all of a sudden you look at we got a team maybe.
Maybe. I think the 2 positions at question for me right now are at that number 10. First of all, who's going to produce behind Kevin Molino, or when Molino might be in a funk or not starting? So that's question 1 to me. An even bigger question is Lod. 2 goals in this tournament do a little bit to obscure an otherwise spotty career with Minnesota United, and I'm just not on the Lod bandwagon quite yet.
That guy's a load of garbage, if you ask me. Like,
I don't get it. I do not understand why he insists on sticking with him game in and game out.
Talk about a guy who looks like he does not give a shit doing his job. It is that guy.
It's like he's alternately like, oh, I don't really care, and like I am way out of my league. You can just see it in his eyes.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's out of his league. He plays international soccer at home
for Finland.
Yeah, but still, it's international soccer. I mean, the Samoan Islands have an international soccer team. So does San Marino, and they play England. So it doesn't matter. You're playing international soccer.
Gibraltar is the volunteer fire department for the city.
Right. Know? Like, yeah, and the dentist. There's a dentist on the team.
Yeah.
But I just think like the guy just doesn't give a shit. He's just getting paid. He's probably living his best life, in a nice place in Burnsville. And who knows? But anyways, my takeaway from the matches in the tournament was they clearly lack that creative number 10 presence at the top of the central midfield triangle. They are in talks with that Reynoso talk, out of Argentina just sign the guy already or stop talking about him. But that's the type of person that I think could really take the team to another level. I think Ike being gone injured or whatever the mystique is around him not being there, it wasn't a killer. Aha did enough and show that he's a serviceable center back in the MLS, but the guy's not great with the ball. He's a little bit slow. He looks to be one of those guys that has a itchy trigger finger when it comes to getting booked for things that are off the ball. But it wasn't bad. But finally, Hassani Dotson is a good soccer player, but he is not a go-to pro yet. And I think it showed when he obviously in the last game, Nani rented him like a mule. But even when he was playing the number 10, he looks out of place at the professional game at the speed right now. Like he can still play at a high level, but he's just not quite ready to be run out when important games are on the line. And I know Mentonair was probably injured, and he's that Swiss Army knife type player for Adrian Heath. But I mean, all in all, I'm not a huge MLS guy. I watch it because it's our hometown team.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll give hats off to them. I think that they performed admirably. And if we are to get additional MLS, which we're told is coming, in 2 days? Who knows?
We got more to go.
Yeah, we got more to go. But we're not here to talk about those guys, are we?
No, I mean, the final game of MLS is back is tomorrow night, the home field, Orlando City against the Portland Timbers, right? I don't know. Who will win? Who cares, really? Because we're here to talk about Minneapolis City. It has been way too long since we could talk about actual soccer played by actual Minneapolis City players. But here we are tonight in front of your faces to introduce something super special. It is time for the birds to fly, my friends. Ooh. In an effort to salvage some sense of normalcy out of 2020, this club announced late last week in a little bit of a teaser that starting August 19th, there will be soccer. John, before we get into the details of what kind of soccer we're talking about, what went to the decision from a club perspective to finally decide to play?
Actually, to be honest, Nate, lots. But we could do a whole show on those discussions if we wanted to. But we had multiple wait and see dates over the past 4 months, as everyone knows. They all ended with a "we will not have soccer." And we talked about things, with the membership board, with other members and on the board, with players, with the staff. But as the world of sports started to open up, we looked at a number of models that we could have dipped our toes into. But unfortunately, the road led to what can we do to be safe for our players? So, and our club staff and fans and everyone involved. Could we have said, screw it, and packed the vans up and played any number of quality regional foes that reach out to us? Absolutely. We could have done that, but it would have been at the potential cost, of someone maybe getting COVID, and we didn't want that on our shoulders, and nor should we have had to even put ourselves in that conversation. So we didn't want to become a cluster of this virus. So we decided that we would do something that we can control, that's comfortable, and that we can get some fan engagement in. And I mean, that's the best we can do.
Yeah, it's a tough line to walk, like between player safety and player happiness. Like, you got to think that our guys are fired up to do something. Play somebody, please. But short of like European success at fighting COVID happening immediately, or some kind of bubble scenario that we have the money and the time and the people to do, it's really hard to see some way to provide both. But in keeping true to the message that Club Chairman Dan Hodeman relayed during that town hall all those weeks ago on this very channel. It was something like 3 months ago. Minneapolis City is a soccer club first and foremost, and they will do their best to play. So we here are pleased to announce and introduce to the world this evening creation of our fall intra club 7v7 cup. What is this 7v7 cup I am talking about right now, John?
It is soccer, Nate.
It's real soccer.
Real soccer. So cheers to that, folks. A lot has been talked about recently in what Minneapolis City Futures program is and the model that is built around that. But the key thing here, Nate, is that the model that was built for the Futures program, we have decided to roll that program out because it was staring us in the face as a viable option to have soccer. It was a logical step for us to not only test out the model, but replicate it with our first and second team players to get them playing competitive soccer, but also continue to train them while we do so. So the guys who are in town that are kind of the staple core, plus the college guys who no longer have a home to play because of COVID shutting them down, it just made sense. And it was literally staring us in the face. And it just took us the exhaustion of efforts to figure out how we were going to play. There was. Look at that.
Super smart. Yeah.
Super smart. Who knew?
That's awesome.
And if we find that something doesn't work well, then we can adjust the futures model accordingly before we even start it. So it's a win-win for everybody.
It's a nice way to test. Yeah. It's a nice way to test out something that will be an important part of developing talent for the club and get it kind of out of the way behind closed doors for the most part. So what are the details of how this 7v7 mini league is going to work?
Well, first off, one cabin crusher down.
Oh my God.
Two to go.
Oh my God.
Well, the league itself is a simple model, Nate. We'll be splitting up our player pool into 4 teams. So we have about 65 players. They're going to play the 7v7 format, 6 plus a keeper. And they'll play each other twice starting on Wednesday, August 19th at the NSC up in Blaine. We've rented out the new turf surface. It's beautiful. I can't explain to you how awesome. When I went out there watching training 2 weeks ago, I was like, man, this new turf is great. Mm-hmm. It's not the stadium. So folks who are, we'll get into that later, but it's not the stadium.
Not in the bowl.
Yeah, it's not in the bowl. So to some, they may think that this is just a normal kickabout, but that is not the case, Nate. We have, we've hired outside officials to keep the peace. We will have a trophy. There will be end of the league season awards and a few other perks that we will announce soon.
We like perks, man.
Love the perk.
We've had Coach Matt on recently, and of course, Coach Jeremiah Johnson, who kind of helped sculpt he
built it.
The futures model, right? Both of them have talked about how great 7v7 is, and not just because it's super fun to play. How is this 7v7 model going to benefit the players? Why did we choose this as the way forward to get minutes and to keep them sharp?
We talked about playing 11-a-side matches, but if you look at that model, and we had rolled it out, you'd have a lot of players not on the ball or just standing around trying to get into the 11-a-side match. Yeah, it's great to see full soccer, and it can still be implemented in this futures model, maybe to end the Monday trainings that we're going to have as well. But since we're not playing any competitive full matches this year, to us, it was key to keep our guys on the ball as much as possible through this 7v7 model. And for those of you who are joining us, if you listen to the podcast where we had Jeremiah on, he talked about that specifically as why we're doing it for that younger group. It's to make sure that guys have time on the ball as much as possible. And it'll keep players sharp. Plus, it's interclub competitiveness. A lot of guys flying around the pitch, pride's at stake. They all know each other, and they're playing for the approval of our very own club legend, as the cup has been dubbed the Ben Wexler Brotherhood Cup, where the man himself will be out there with that $1,000 smile and ultimately handing the winners after the 8 weeks the Ben Wexler Brotherhood Cup trophy.
I picture him trophies, like sitting on some sort of a throne, made of
Yeah,
the
doing
bones
this.
of his enemies.
Yeah. So I mean, it's all in all, it just works, Nate. And I'm really excited to roll this out, but we have more.
Yeah, so we've got 4 teams, and to make sure that they each have their own identity, the players took it upon themselves to name them. And of course, they had to adhere to a theme, and it sounds like the theme that they chose was Minnesota music. Why did the players want to go with the Minnesota music route?
So we had just launched 4 new sub brands under our banner with the Futures program teams. So we had to think hard about what we were going to call these 4 teams, and we had some really good names that didn't make it past the cutting room floor. One of them was Crystal Phallus. But until
not thematic.
Yeah. So until last week, us as a leadership group latched on to keeping it local, and each team, like you mentioned, is going to be named after Minnesota-based musicians or groups. I mean, if we had time, Nate, to design design 4 new looks for jerseys, I'm sure everybody would love to buy one. But we'd also have to pay. Didn't have the cash to pay the royalties or the legal team that would have had to fight some of these musicians and groups to use their likeness, as I'm sure a lot of them would not have said yes to them. But anyways, so there's no doubt we could have put some badges and kits to it and pull it off. But we were adulting and decided just to keep the names.
Yeah, it's funny because we always say, like, when the club does something, they go all in and they do it crazy. But I think, this might be a little over the top to brand a extremely behind closed doors intra-squad league, especially on the heels of the Futures branding. But so I get it.
I mean, we always say it. Nothing's worth doing unless you're overdoing it. So
yes. I mean, this is another stop in the long line of cool creative ideas that the club comes up with. It's just constantly coming up with cool shit. I don't know.
So cool.
Yeah, but so it's been really fun to be part of the process to come up with these names. So folks, without further ado, what we want to do tonight is introduce our 7v7 teams. The baby's excited.
Baby's really excited.
All right. Team number 1. We're talking Tackled by Turtles. I can never pretend that I don't love them, and you can never pretend that I'm no fan, John. It is Tackled by Turtles. Inspired, of course, by one of the few things to come out of Duluth that we can kind of get behind. The bluegrass indie folk dudes trampled by turtles. Who are Tackled by Turtles?
Well, first off, we have club future legend and goalkeeper Matt Elder. The back line will be Miles Norville, Matt Murakami, and Minneapolis City trialist pickup Adnan Gilby. Then in the midfield, got an old name that's back in the fold. That's Ian Smith. You have UW Superior product Esteban Badillo, Rory O'Driscoll, who played with the U23s last year, and that before going out east to play soccer in New Hampshire. And then up top from the attack perspective, you have Eli Goldman, Rory's teammate at school. You have Mark Bokeen, if that name rings a bell. He plied his trade at the folks in VSLT before they folded and joined us up. And then Cole Schwartz, the leading goal scorer in Division III soccer at Gustavus. So when you look at this team, tons of attacking firepower, an experienced goalkeeper, some quality defense. The Tackled by Turtles could possibly be one of those teams that you could hitch your wagon to if you choose to select them in a little contest we're going to talk about in a little bit. Following up Tackled by Turtles, we have the Paisley Park 99ers, because the best things in music like soccer come in small packages. These guys will hope to do right by the sexiest 5'5" man ever to pick up a guitar, and that is Prince. I would have gone with a name like the PK Control, but hey, I'm just a guy with a career in advertising and marketing, and I occasionally do things on Twitch. So the Paisley Park 99ers are led out of the back by Troy Luegi. And then you look at a stacked defense. So this team is going to be really hard to score against. You got City captain Aaron Olson. You have Eli Lloyd, who is a recent member of the Minnesota United DA that has come over to join us after the DA closed. You have Jack Barry, who's been going into being a 3-year starter at St. Thomas. Exciting news that they're now going to be Division I. You have Logan Huber out of Nebraska, Omaha, a product of the Football Form and Fitness Academy with Brian Coleman. And then you round it out with a guy like Zuhair Alabasi, who I've always thought that small-sided soccer is for this guy. Then your midfield goes Jake Simons, who was a pickup from our U23 team last year. Javier Juarez, another young up-and-coming player in the club who was part of the Twin Stars outfit before he moved over to us. And then you anchor it with one of the smoothest guys ever to come out of Decorah, Iowa soccer, Aiden O'Driscoll. And then up top, you got Ian Quigley, another academy prospect. And then our pickup from this winter's trials, Mito Youssef, a boy of Samuel Ruiz Plaza, who played at Seattle University. This team is built from the back forward, Nate.
Yeah. One thing I want to ask, John, is how do these teams get picked? Was this draw out of a hat? Were there captains that picked them like schoolyard? We didn't really go through that. And I kind of want to get people to think about that as we list these names off.
I don't know what you're talking about. All of a sudden I woke up one morning and these were in my inbox. So that's how it worked.
Okay.
No, so the club coaches, the whole coaching staff had gone through a process of ranking players in 4 different buckets. So you had your A pool, B pool, C pool, D pool, and then Coach Matt Van Benschoten went through and evened out the teams based on that.
Okay.
And I think what he did a good job of, which if you looked at the Tackled by Turtles, they're attack heavy. You got Eli Goldman, Mark Bokeen, and Cole Schwartz. All of those guys are going to score goals in this competition. But then you look at the Paisley Park 99ers, and it's defense heavy, but guys that can attack out of the back. And then you have some young midfielders that are anchored by that, the guy who could light up a 77 or an 11v11 opportunity, and that's Aiden O'Driscoll. And then you have some younger, new attackers of the club. So really good job by Coach Van Benschoten to kind of vary these teams up.
Yeah, interesting that the veteran leadership on this team in AO and, you could say Zuhair is gonna have to lead this team forward, because there are a lot of new names, a lot of young guys. And so if they want to compete against a room full of more older Minneapolis City players, it's going to be up to guys like AO and Zuhair to lead them forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you go to the next one, Nate?
Man, next up is the Bob Dillionaires. This is another team based on a guy that needs no introduction. We're going to give one anyways. These guys are going to make sure that a hard rain is going to fall for anyone who lines up against them. For 90 minutes, the Dillionaires are going to hit pause on Bob's dreams of peace and shit, and they're going to set out to annihilate their enemies.
So the Dillionaires are a team made up of something interesting here, Nate. They have not 1 but 2 goalkeepers. So you have the ability to potentially sub in and out depending upon need with former City U23 player, now MC2 player, Quinn Kearnett as the lead goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. And then you have 18-year-old Ben Schliemann, who is still in high school, but who has been pushing to be included in that goalkeeper room. And then you look at the back line. You got Kevin Hoof. You got Hoofed, the Dillionaires getting hoofed.
Dillionaires.
You got Abdallah Ba, and then you have Wes Lawrence, who is a Stegman's Academy product, formerly of Virginia Military Institute, but currently a free agent when it comes to college soccer. So if any college soccer coaches are listening right now, this guy's available. Then you look at the midfield, and you're like, holy cow. You got Max Stiegwer. You have the original Minneapolis City Futures program member in Abdi Kadi, who was a development player back in 2016. Then you have Franco Pretel, who played professional soccer in Peru, but played for VSLT, but is now back in the fold. You have Archie Gierdrum, who plays in the midfield for UW Superior, an MTA product. So you have a stacked midfield there. And then you look at the attack and you're like, holy shit. You got Nick Hutton, Justin Oliver, and former U23 player Bernard Asby Rule, who goes to UW Green Bay going into his senior year there, who played the last 2 seasons in the PDL or the USL2. This team from top to bottom, outside having that weird two goalkeeper situation, is totally stacked.
Totally stacked. I mean, think about it this way, John. This is the kind of crazy guy that you're going up against, like in fantasy football, who drafts 2 kickers. And you're like, does this guy know something that we don't know?
Then he wins.
Why would he do that? Yep. And then he wins. The Dillionaires, very, very interesting squad, given that, like you mentioned, less stacked on defense, only 3 true defenders on the roster, but a very, very solid midfield and an amazing speedy attack. So you gotta look for some long ball play out of these Dillionaires. I guarantee to hit Hutton and Oliver on the run. Maybe link up through Stigwart and Franco, but I would say this is as dangerous of a team in the league as you have. Next up and last up, John, it is Morris Day and the One-Timers. This is, as we are a true city-focused organization, we had to go with the team name that was born in the city. Of course, the Time. They're also well known as the Minneapolis-based funk group created by Prince, featured in Purple Rain. Gotta love the Time.
So Morris Day and the One-Timers. This is an interesting team, Nate. It's led out of the back by Devin Thompson, who is one of our open trialist participants who we signed on to play in 2020. And then you look at the back line. You have Jonah Garcia, you have Charlie Adams, you have Josue Batule, you have Ethan Anderson and Luke Lindsay, the Southern Illinois or Indiana product. So you have 2 just staples of Minneapolis City soccer. Then you have 3 young players who played together for the past 2 seasons on the U23 squad. So a shored up defense. Then you go to the midfield and you have nothing. You basically have 3 guys that are the exact same player who have got to have some sort of mental connection because they're built out of the same model. You have Arthur Perrins, Samuel Ruiz Plaza, and then soon to be UW Green Bay product, another UW Green Bay midfielder, Colton Prater.
We got the pipeline.
Who I believe that they signed to replace Ian Smith. So you're looking at that same type of player. Ian will obviously say he's better, and I'm sure Colton would say he's better, but you're looking at a young defensive center midfielder that could anchor and sit in front of that back line and create into some very technical players in Arthur and Samuel. And then you go up top and you got Thunder and Lightning. You got Will Kidd and then you got Matt Gibbons. Matt Gibbons, obviously the Gustavus product, who is on that team that just ran roughshod through the MIAC last year. He's very infamous for having the shirtless photo of the Hayward tournament trophy that they won, the U23 team won last year. Excuse me. This team, I think, will surprise people. I think it's a different makeup. Obviously, we've talked about we've talked about the fact that the other teams maybe have a solid backline, but this one's a little bit more, I guess you could call a 2-way backline. A lot of guys who are used to ball at their feet. Jonah plays 7-a-side soccer pretty much every day he's not with us. So he might be one that can attack out of the back, which you don't really see from him as a center back position playing an 11-a-side. And then, like I said, you got Thunder and Lightning. You got Matt Gibbons, who could be a hold-up guy, but can also create. And then you got Will Kidd, who's the all-time leading goal scorer in the club. So
hard to pick favorite out of all these teams, but it could be this one. And I think because there's such quality from front to back, the only question mark being Devin Thompson, who we've never seen, fans have never seen in action. So if Devin can keep the goals out, Will and Samuel and even Jonah is going to be able to get those goals in.
Absolutely. And just so you guys know, we're on Cabin Crusher number 3 here.
There it is.
Three cabin crushers.
Here's the deal, John. We're not just showing people that there are these teams that are going to happen in practice so that they can be informed and say, thanks, guys. We're excited that there's soccer. No, as with all things, there is a greater plan here. All right. So our 7v7 league, while happening behind closed doors, is built for consumption of the public. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we are building a pick'em league around this 7v7 league. That's
fantasy
right.
sports.
Fantasy sports. If it's not worth doing insanely, we're not going to do it. We are setting up a pick'em league for the Ben Wexler Brotherhood Cup. Every week, participants, if you sign up, you'll be emailed a form that will be your picks for the Wednesday matches that take place. All you have to do is pick who you think is going to win, who you think is going to be the MVP of the match, and how many goals are going to be scored in that match, or is it the score?
It's that's the same thing. It's combined. It combined score or combined score. Goals.
Yep. So those three things, you submit your picks. It's going to be only 2 picks because there's only 4 teams, and then you get points. So you get 2 points for a correct match pick. You get 5 points if you select the correct match score, and 10 points if you nail the player of the week for that match.
Well, and I'm joining the league. Uncle Biz's Ballers is going to definitely be ready to go. So you need to join and see if you got what it takes to beat me.
Yeah. And why should you care? Why would I play this? What can I win? Well, let me tell you, a limited number of current club members. So the top 5 point getters that are club members when they submit their form will get the chance the next week to go and watch these 7v7 matches. So if you are top 5 points getter of this coming week, by next Wednesday, you could be watching Minneapolis City Soccer as it happens in the National Sports Center. How cool is that?
It's super cool. And we'll get into the fact of maybe about watching soccer in a bit here, but Nate tickled it a little bit, I guess you could say, about maybe being able to watch live soccer.
Yes, that is super, super cool. And then overall, the winner of the Pick'em League is going to receive a free 2021 club membership, and you will be featured on this here podcast, so you can tell the world all about your fantasy sports prowess.
And Nate, what do members usually get? What are they getting for their membership?
Well, so if you're not a member and you're like, I sure would like to see some Minneapolis City soccer that happens behind closed doors, only available to the top 5 point scoring members in this 7v7 Pick'em League. Well, you get that, but then you also get, of course, a club scarf. You get a vote in all the club matters, including membership boards, kit selection, scarf design, things like that. Of course, you get a season ticket.
Firing Coach Ben Benskoten, all of it.
Of course, you get a season ticket, so you can go to every 2021 match. But then you also get some comp tickets for your friends, so you can hand them out, get people to learn about how cool Minneapolis City is. What I missed, John? I don't think anything else. We're
talking stickers. We're talking magnets. We're talking buttons.
We're talking 10% discount at the club shop.
10% discount at the club shop. Discounts on some beer at our official bar, Palmer's. I mean, you get it all for free, folks.
As long as you win this Pick'em League.
And you're a current Minneapolis City member. Let's not forget that.
That's right. So,
but I think the main thing, sorry to cut you off there, is
cool.
You get to join us on the podcast. We can talk about whatever you want. We can talk about, you get to play Ask John Anything. So you can start thinking about it right now.
Yeah. So we wanted to make sure that not only this, we think the 7v7 league is really cool, but what John and I, when we were kind of putting our heads together, is like, how do we get the membership involved? How do we get people to really care and to be able to follow along, and better yet, to be able to even get in and check out some of the action.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's a couple other things too that you'll be able to see. Like Nate said, your name will be on a leaderboard list. We'll be publishing out after this podcast through our social channels the link to the website, Minneapolis City's website, where you can get all information, and then the upcoming information of what we're going to talk about next. You also see results. You'll see assists, goals, goal scorers. You'll see who's in the hunt for the Golden Boot. How many saves, shutouts, all the goalkeeper stats. You get to see all of it, and you can be totally engaged in it like it is a real fantasy thing, because it is, Nate.
Yeah. I mean, all the information you need to make your picks is going to live live on the website. How sweet.
So since we were unable to have the MPSL or the UPSL, or even, I mean, I don't even know how serious I can say this, the Open Cup, whenever that happens, we felt that it was just a great way for you folks to stay up to date on soccer, the best we can provide it, engage a little bit, have some fun, super cool prizes, get to talk to Nate and I for however long we decide is cool.
Yeah.
And then we hope you join up and see if you can beat Uncle Biz's Ballers. So follow along us on this podcast, because we'll be talking about each week's matches. We'll be talking about the winners of the Pick'em League, and you can do that by logging on to anchor.fm/the-peoples-pitch. That's anchor.fm/the-peoples-pitch, and then we'll have all the information every week talking about that. Or you can go back and listen to some of our previous shows and just relive the glory days, like this 2016 glory shirt I was wearing tonight for all you folks. So the last thing to reveal to you folks, though, is that we will be allowing fans to come out and watch live soccer starting on August 19th. Live soccer. You're welcome, people, but there will be some requirements around it.
Yes.
So don't get all crazy and jumping around your domicile right now. You have to follow some rules. And Nate, why don't you take those away? Why don't you tell us about the rules?
Yeah, so we have a limited number of stations that are all going to be set up socially distanced around the pitch for individuals or for pairs or families to come to the matches. And you can watch once, but you have to let your friends have a chance to see this action, since it's so limited. So really, you're not allowed to. If you win back-to-back weeks, you're going to have to give up your spot. You will. Oh no, wait, John. Maybe I'm confused. That you will be allowed to come back. Sorry, back-to-back. If you are in the top 5 of the fantasy pick'em each week. Can you clarify what that means?
I'll clarify that. So if you are not in the top 5 of the Pick'em League, and you come out to August 9th, you sign up, it's first come, first serve. We'll talk about how you can do that in a little bit, but it's first come, first serve. You have to be an active member. So if you're not a member, you better get over to the Minneapolis City website, go to the shop, become a member. You will be validated through our friend Sarah. She's going to be strict on this one. And you can come to the first week. You may not come back for week 2 unless you are in the top 5 of the Pick'em League. So the people who are consistently in the top 5 of the Pick'em League could, Nate, essentially come to every week.
Makes sense.
It makes total sense. But if you are not part of the Pick'em League and you want to come, you can come on the 19th if you sign up and you make the cut. But you're not going to be able to come back for 2 weeks, because we want to let our friends, everybody have an opportunity to come out and see us play, because it's such a small window. So
makes sense.
Hopefully you guys are picking up what I'm putting down here.
We have 20 open slots every week. 5 slots plus a guest will be awarded to the top 5 of the Pick'em, right? Yeah. The rest will be available first come, first serve for members to sign up for. So once we have the Pick'em results and we've notified those people and gotten the Pick'em winners and gotten their names and gotten them on the list, then we open the list up to any members that want to come. First come, first serve. Active members. Yes, that is the big one. You must be an active Minneapolis City member to join us at these games. It's a hard and fast rule. So if you're not yet a member, you can head over to the club shop online at mplscitysc.com/the club shop. It's right there, and sign yourself up so you don't miss any action. And sorry, mom and dad, you can't show up and watch your little slugger play unless parents, you're an active member as well. quite a few more rules around logistics. There's going to be mask policy, food and beverage that's allowed inside, which will probably be limited, that we're going to roll out soon. So watch Minneapolis City's Twitter feed as well as People Pitch's Twitter feed for any updates on this. Look out for those on all club social channels coming up in the next week.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to provide you with all the information. Actually, it should be known that starting in, if you're watching this live, obviously you are, but if you're watching the replay of this, the 12th, which is in 2 days, which is Wednesday, is going to be our preseason game where we're gonna go through the due diligence of running a normal league night to see how it goes, and it won't account towards any of the pick'em or anything like that. We're going to run it. We're going to see what's viable to make sure that we do it the right way. We're safe for everyone. We have the right policies in place. And then come the 19th, boom, Nate, live soccer.
Yep. So when forms and pick'em registration, when pick'em registration is open and forms are ready to go out, we will let you know. Follow us on Twitter at the People's Pitch. Always a good time on the Twitter. You should also follow the club at Mpls City SC because they'll be retweeting all of our sweet pick'em news, guaranteed. And then you'll be able to sign up in time to get your picks in for August 19th.
Absolutely. So I'm almost done with the third Cabin Crusher here. I'm gonna have to finish it because that is all for this week's show, folks. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you as always to show sponsor Summit Brewing Company.
That's a great question, John, and I'm going to clarify it. If I win as a pick'em, I can bring my son, right, who is not a member, but because I'm a member, I get a member plus one that can come.
We're going to have to run that through the proper channels, and all of that information will be provided as soon as we iron it all out. So,
all right, there's your answer. IOU 1970 in real time.
In real time. So that is all for this week's show, folks. Thank you, as always, to our show sponsors, Summit, Cabin Crusher, Cabin Crush, 3 of them in front of you guys tonight. We are swass deep in the end of summer, and what better way to beat the heat than a can of ice cold beer? Our pals at Summit have something for all your taste bud that pairs well with whatever situation you're in, at the lake, at Ben Wexler Brotherhood Cup League night, whatever it may be. So get to stores today and fill your fridge and your coolers up with some of that goodness. Summit, a more meaningful brew since 1986. If giving back to the community means a lot to you, why not give back to the club that loves the club that loves to give back? Can never get through this, Nate.
Even on camera.
Even on camera. Minneapolis City is a 501c3 that provides a safe, fun, and reliable place for young people to play the beautiful game. And as we all know, our newly formed Minneapolis City Futures Program Scholarship Fund. So consider a tax-deductible donation. Wow, 3 Cabin Crushers in less than an hour. To a truly city-focused organization. Do you have anything you want us to cover on this show? Any quests you want us to go on, or any guests you want us to have? Send us mail. It's easy to do. You might have some questions on this new league that's coming up. You can follow us on Twitter at The People's Pitch, or through email at mcscpodcast@gmail.com. And if calling is your thing, we haven't had some calls in, forever.
It's been a while.
You can call us on our hotline. We're considering maybe next week or a week or two, we're going to have a hotline show. So call our hotline and get some questions in. That number is 612-460-5683. Again, that is 612-460-5683. All questions, comments, and concerns are welcome. And finally, as always, complain to the club at mplscitysc.com. That does it for this week. I struggled through that close more than
you did it,
but I did it. I am John. That was Nate. Big shout out to Tyler on the back of the house. You guys don't see him. He's putting all this together for us. Really crushed it to make sure that we can have this type of content for you guys. In 1 week, we have soccer again, people. But until next time, friends, you got hoofed. It's happening. Soccer.
Poster burning maple weeds, cradle major keys. Thinking back, I've been major since the minor league. So supreme, too much sauce off my olive NMDs. I could staple steez, bend the goat so I get the cheese, never fall. Rake them leaves and make sure every moment gets seized, and everything I see is